I used to joke that a ring light was cheaper than therapy. It smoothed the parts of me I didn't know how to make peace with, softened the under-eye half-moons, warmed my skin, gave me a version of myself I wanted to be. I'd turn it on at night when the house was quiet, angle my phone just right, and tell myself I was reclaiming something. Confidence.
Autonomy.
A little thrill. I never planned on reclaiming my marriage or my motherhood from the wreckage it would cause. I never imagined the ring light would outshine every line I'd drawn between my private life and the internet until there was no line left at all. If you're hunting for an excuse, don't. I don't have one that matters. The short version is, I liked being watched. I liked the tiny dopamine pings of strangers saying fire and queen and hot mama. I liked seeing a notification and knowing someone somewhere had paid to see a softer, bolder version of me. For a woman who'd been feeling invisible, that validation tasted like sugar. I kept spooning it into the parts of my life that felt bland, and then I acted shocked when everything started rotting. It began the way these things always do, with Instagram. Post-workout mirror selfie. Date night outfit pic that never made it to the date because we stayed home and watched old sitcoms in our pajamas. A beach photo from last summer that got more likes than any picture of my face ever had. My husband, David, 37, reliable in a way you don't fully appreciate until you've broken it, was skeptical but tolerant. If it makes you happy, he'd say, kissing my temple before heading back to his laptop and his endless debugging tickets. David isn't a social media guy. He has a Facebook he checks twice a month for cousins' baby pictures. Instagram, to him, is the junk drawer of the internet. Chaotic, vaguely useful, mostly full of stuff you'll never need again. Then came TikTok. Then the close friends circle on Instagram, which is just a fancy way of saying the same content but a bit spicier. And eventually, because attention gravitates toward the place where attention turns into money, I opened an OnlyFans. I told myself it wasn't porn because I drew a line. No explicit nudity, no faces in the most revealing shots, tasteful lingerie, bikinis, teasing angles, soft lighting. I told myself I was just monetizing the effort I already put into feeling pretty. I told myself everyone was doing it now. I told myself a lot of things. Money makes rationalizing dangerously easy. First month, $300. Second month, $820. Sixth month, a little over $2,000. We paid off a chunk of the credit card. I bought better groceries instead of playing what can I make with rice, eggs, and hope every Thursday. When David asked, I gave him the safe word. Content. He didn't ask for a platform name. I didn't volunteer one. He was proud I'd found something I liked. I let his pride sit on top of my omissions and called that honesty. Our son, Evan, started middle school in September. He's 11, elbows, knees, a new voice that cracks on certain words, and a kindness he tries to hide under sarcasm because sixth graders smell sincerity and go for blood. I told myself he was insulated from my online life. I used a stage name. I cropped my face when the outfit went beyond PG-13. I turned off precise location on everything and thought that meant I was careful. I forgot that kids live on the internet the way fish live in water. They don't need to hunt. The current brings everything. The current brought me to the 8th graders table on a Thursday. An older brother subscribed to all the wrong things, and an 8th grader with a cracked iPhone made the connection. My public gym selfie to a behind-the-paywall teaser. Same mirror, same tattoo peeking from the same strap, same ring light crescent reflected on glass. By lunch, my photos were spread on a cafeteria table like playing cards while boys pretended to be men. Someone called me a whore. Someone else asked Evan if I offered family discounts. He tried to keep chewing his turkey sandwich and not cry. He made it to the bathroom before the tears hit. The assistant principal caught him and walked him to the counselor's office like she was the only adult on duty in a building full of fire alarms. I didn't know any of this yet. At 3:17 p.m., his homeroom teacher emailed, "Hi Mrs. R. Wanted to flag an incident. Some students shared social media content they said was of you." Evan was understandably upset. We addressed it as bullying and confiscated devices. AP will follow up. My hands went cold. I read content they said was of you 3 times, as if the phrasing might shift if I blinked hard enough. David came home at 5:40 carrying Evan's backpack like it weighed 70 pounds. He put it on the table and stared at me with the specific anger of a good man who's just learned what it costs to stand on principle. "They passed your pictures around," he said. His voice was flat, scraped clean of everything but the facts. Our son left school because kids were zooming in on his mother. Shame rushed up so hot it felt like fever. And then, because shame is a coward, I reached for the cheapest shield I had: defensiveness. "It's not like I'm naked," I heard myself say. Plenty of moms post swimsuits. This is 2025. This is normal. David's jaw worked. "Normal is a lot of things," he said. "Normal isn't our kid being cornered in a hallway while boys hold up his mother on a screen." He took a breath and tried again, soft where I didn't deserve soft. "Please tell me you're done. Tell me you'll shut it down. Tell me you understand what this did to him." I wanted to say yes. I also wanted to keep the life raft I'd built for myself out of attention and spare cash, and the feeling that I still had a body men noticed. "I'm not hurting anyone," I said instead. "It helps with bills. It's empowering. You need to get with the times." I watched the hope leave his eyes. "Empowering for who?" he asked quietly. "Because it's sure as hell not empowering for Evan." He walked out of the kitchen. He didn't slam a door. He didn't say another word that night. I shut my laptop. I deleted links. I told myself I was taking a break. I lasted 48 hours. Then a subscriber messaged, "Hope you're okay, Queen," and the part of me that feeds on attention woke up scratching at the door. I posted a throwback clip I convinced myself was harmless. No new content, no new risk, right? That night, David came back to the kitchen with a manila folder and placed it on the table between us like evidence. Inside, screenshots of my Instagram selfies, my teaser page, and the comments. Men with cartoon avatars writing MILF energy and "imagine being her kid, LOL." Also inside, a printed copy of the email from Evan's teacher and a blank sheet of paper clipped on top like a space for my signature if I wanted to admit what I'd done. "I'm providing for us," I said, and heard how ridiculous it sounded as I said it. "Groceries. Debt. You liked that part?" "I liked not getting collections calls," he replied. I didn't sign up for my son to learn stepmom as an insult. His face looked tired in a way sleep doesn't touch. "I can't keep living with someone who chooses strangers over the people in this house." He slept on the couch that night. The next week, after a meeting with the principal where I sat in a small chair and listened to phrases like off-campus content and "we can discipline harassers but can't control the source," David moved out. He left a note on the counter. "I'll handle car insurance this month. Evan's therapy Monday at 4. Please don't post." He took clothes, a pillow, his shaving kit, and the mug that says, "World's okayest programmer." He left everything else like a man who refuses to punish his family out of spite. People online love clean villains. It would be easier if David had screamed and called me names, if Evan had set the house on fire with rage, if the principal had lectured me like a caricature from a 90s after-school special. What happened was mundane and devastating. I kept posting after the first warning because I didn't want to admit the thing that made me feel strong was hurting my family. And then the people I love left in the most reasonable way possible. The assistant principal was kind but firm. "We can address behavior here," he said. "We can talk to families. We can't scrub the internet." He handed me a one-page sheet about cyberbullying and support resources and suggested a meeting with a school counselor. He told me to save screenshots of any harassing messages and to tell Evan he could come to the office anytime. He didn't say a word about my choices. He didn't need to. I filed DMCA takedowns against reposts on the obvious sites and learned quickly what everyone who posts online eventually learns. You can chase links forever and still never catch all the mirrors. Platforms will remove specific URLs. They will not promise to hunt down every copy. I toggle my public accounts to private and change my handle. Someone started a Reddit thread anyway. "Local mom is on of," with the top comment, "Who got the link?" I threw up, brushed my teeth, and kept going because my son still needed dinner. Evan started therapy with a woman named Dr. Chen. Soft cardigans, an office lamp that looks like sunrise. First session, he refused to talk. Second, he drew a comic strip of a stick figure kid with a shield labeled mute. By the fourth, he told her the exact words the 8th grader used. "He didn't tell me." Dr. Chen said that was normal. She taught him sentences to use when kids poked him. "Don't talk about my family. That's not your business. Leave me alone or I'll tell a teacher." She gave us a script to use with adults so he didn't have to be the town crier of my bad decisions. David came to the parent session.
On time.
Polite. Like someone finishing a job with dignity. When Dr. Chen asked what he needed, he said, for Evan to feel safe and not responsible for his mother's choices. When she asked what I needed, I said, to fix it. She said, you can't fix it fast. You can be consistent. She told me to put my accounts on ice and keep them there, to communicate with school and writing, to choose one trusted friend I could vent to and stop turning the internet into my confessional. I deactivated the OnlyFans that afternoon. There's a 30-day window before deletion. The clock started ticking. I emailed the photographers I'd hired and asked them not to post me. One replied with compassion. The other two didn't reply at all. I deleted old files from my phone and then panicked about cloud backups. David had already removed my access to our shared photo drive. The ring light went into the back of the closet behind a box of Evan's old trophies. I didn't throw it out. I wanted the reminder that it wasn't evil or magic. It was just a tool I'd used to build a version of myself that couldn't hold a family. Money got tight immediately. Without the extra income, our budget squeaked. David offered to cover soccer fees and new cleats. That's not his problem, he said about Evan. And I wanted to say no out of pride. I said thank you, because pride doesn't stretch a paycheck. I asked my cafe manager for extra shifts. She gave me Saturdays without asking why. Bless her for that. My mother called after the school sent a generic email about reminding students that sharing private images is unacceptable. She didn't know it was me, she guessed. Mothers always guess the things you wish they wouldn't. She showed up with lasagna and the kind of silence that invites confession. I messed up, I said. I wanted to feel pretty. Visible. She said, you do exist. Even when no one claps. I cried until my face hurt.
She didn't scold me.
She loaded our dishwasher and asked for Evan's game schedule. The school suspended 2 boys for taping a printed screenshot to a locker. On-campus harassment, formal consequences. The principal offered schedule changes to minimize contact. We accepted. I saved screenshots of everything and sent tidy email summaries because paper trails make adults do their jobs. I stopped pretending this would blow over if we just waited long enough. We made it boring. That helped. David and I built a calendar that looks exactly like divorced people's calendars, even though we're not divorced and nothing's on paper. He has Evan Mondays and Wednesdays, I have Tuesdays and Thursdays, we alternate weekends. Handoffs happen at school or the soccer field. Neutral ground is easier on everyone. Our texts are logistics with please and thank you. He sends barbershop at 6 p. I send permission slip due Friday. He doesn't ask about my accounts. I don't tell him anything except what he needs to parent well. It's not friendship. It's respect wearing work clothes. The internet did what it always does.
Moved on.
A different local scandal took the heat off. Evan still gets occasional snickers in the hallway. They land softer now. He found a new lunch table. The counselor checks in weekly. He makes terrible puns with David in the car, their shared love language, and gives me one-word answers until he forgets to guard himself and launches into 5 minutes about a science lab gone wrong. Sometimes he hugs me. Sometimes he doesn't. I don't force it. I picked up a second job at a boutique to cover the budget gap. I steam dresses, clean fitting rooms, learn which brands run small. Once, a woman looked at me like she was about to ask if she recognized me from the internet, then thought better of it. That color looks amazing on you, I told her and meant it. Later I cried in the stockroom because kindness hurts more than cruelty when you don't feel like you deserve it. We saw Dr. Chen together one more time. She asked about boundaries. David said he didn't want to discuss my accounts at all. Not even to be reassured they were gone. I don't want that to be our entire story, he said. I want to talk about Evan's homework and the cat and whether he needs a bigger bike. I told him I wouldn't date until Evan was steady. He didn't tell me if he would.
He doesn't owe me that.
If you're waiting for a grand gesture or a romantic reconciliation, you'll be bored by the ending. David didn't come back. He didn't plaster my mistakes online. He didn't poison Evan against me. He set a boundary and kept it. He won by refusing to negotiate with something that wasn't negotiable for him, his son's dignity and his own. He walked away right. That's not spite. That's self-respect. Sometimes I take the ring light out of the closet, hold it like a steering wheel, and say out loud, "This is not who I am anymore." Then I put it back and pack orange slices for Evan's game. I've learned small consistency matters more than dramatic apologies. I show up on time. I sit on the cold metal bleachers. I clap for good passing, not just goals. I hand my kid a water bottle and let him walk back to his friends without making it about me. If you want practical advice, here. If you're going to post risque content, assume people you never wanted to see it will see it. Assume screenshots. Assume leaks you cannot put back in the bottle. Assume a principal who can punish bullies but not the internet. Assume your kid will be the one who pays. If you've already done it, document everything that hurts your kid, talk to the school in writing, get your child a counselor, and be prepared to be boringly, relentlessly consistent for months. It's not glamorous. It works. Last week, Evan asked if I still do the pictures. I told him no. I told him I'm sorry I ever did, and that I'll spend a long time making sure his name means kid who can nutmeg defenders and not kid whose mom was a joke. He shrugged. Then, without looking at me, he said, "Can you come to my game Saturday?" I said yes. He scored once. He didn't look over to see if I'd seen it. I cheered anyway. After the game, David gave me a nod across the field. Not a smile. Not ice. Just a quiet acknowledgement that we are two adults raising a boy. I went home and paid the electric bill late, sent a final DMCA follow-up, folded laundry, and ate cereal for dinner. The house was quiet. The quiet didn't feel like a hole I had to fill with strangers anymore. It felt like space. Room for a good man's dignity, a boy's privacy, and a woman learning that attention is not love, and validation is not worth the cost when it's billed to your child. People sometimes message my dormant accounts. Come back. Miss your content. I don't respond. I don't need to be a ghost in those rooms anymore. If I want an audience, I have one at my kitchen table. A kid asking what photosynthesis is, and a text thread where his dad sends a link to shin guards in the right size. I used to say a ring light was cheaper than therapy. Therapy is $85 a session with a sliding scale, and it doesn't give you a glow when you say the most embarrassing truths about yourself. But it's a lot cheaper than losing your family. I'm not empowered, now in the glittery way I used to mean it.
I'm accountable.
I post nothing. I work 2 jobs. I show up. I keep my head down while trust grows back grain by grain like new lawn. When I tuck Evan in, I tell him, "You are my favorite person to cheer for." He rolls his eyes and calls me cringe, then smiles when he thinks I can't see. David didn't come back, and I don't get a neat bow. The win is his. He refused to let my choices drag our son through the mud, and he refused to hate me on our child's time. He kept his boundary and his dignity. The loss is mine, and deserved. But the lesson is also mine. You can spend your nights being seen by 1,000 strangers, or you can spend your days being trusted by the 2 people who actually matter. I know which one I choose now, even if no one's hitting like for it.